What's happening, YouTube? Paul Friedman coming at you today with my top 5 tips to make you a better landscape photographer. Let's jump in. All right, fellow tubers, today we're going to be talking about 5 tips to make you a better landscape photographer. First, I'd like to start out by saying Spencer and myself are absolutely in love with landscape photography. It is the piece of our business that we do to keep our sanity. We have so much fun with it. As much as possible, when we're out shooting, we're gonna try to bring cameras to bring you along so we can do a little behind the scenes vlogs. Last year we did just under 20 vlogs of us just letting you guys follow along and explaining our mentality behind the process. We're gonna do a lot more of that this year, and we're gonna try to post them as often as we can. But today's just gonna be talking. Today, I'm just gonna try and run you through a few things that we've learned along the way that have helped us improve. We have a long way to go. We're not even the best landscape photographers in this town. So if you have advice for us, or if you heard me say something that you disagree with and think I should know about it, let me know down below. But without further ado, let's jump in. First tip, and this one should be obvious, but has been sort of overlooked by us when we were first starting out. So if you are starting out now, pay attention, plan ahead. Have a plan. Things don't always go according to plan. There's a pretty good chance that at some point you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna shoot this tree on this hill. And you're gonna end up shooting a macro shot of a bug on a log somewhere, and that's fine. Having a plan is step one. You can deviate from the plan, of course, but going out with purpose is a great thing to do, and it's gonna sort of give you some motivation to get out the door because you have something in mind. And sometimes it almost gets the creative juices flowing when you have something in mind. Even if you're not committed to the plan, at least give yourself somewhere to go, something to shoot when you're leaving the house, rather than just like throwing your bag in the car and going out for a drive and seeing what you see. We've done that a lot, and we've wasted a ton of time and struck out so many times trying to do it that way. And so give yourself a plan. Deviate from the plan as much as you want, but just start with a plan. And not just like location, but also weather. I can't tell you how many times I have woken up in the morning and been like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at these clouds and that's gonna be a fiery sunrise. Where do I go for a sunrise? And then I'm just paralyzed and I'm like looking through all my locations and that I have on my list, and I'm like, I don't know. So I label them now. I say, all right, sunrise, this location; sunset, this location; cloudy day, this location. And I give myself some plans, like a list of goal locations and weather conditions that will work for different places. That way, when all of a sudden you find yourself at Pemaquid Point Lighthouse or at Arches National Park, you know what weather to look for, or vice versa. If you get a beautiful sunset coming in and you're like, oh, where am I gonna go? Where am I gonna go? If you have a location in mind planned out on your list that you keep on your phone or you keep on your computer, or just a physical pad of paper that you keep written down in your camera bag, and all of a sudden you see these conditions lining up, bang, there you go. You know what to do. You wake up in the morning and you check the forecast and you're like, oh my gosh, there's gonna be high clouds between this hour and sunrise is in 40 minutes. That means I have 20 minutes to get to a location, 10 minutes to set up, and then start shooting before the light hits. That's perfect. If you can have that plan ahead, you'll find yourself getting a much higher success rate. And more importantly than that, I think you'll find yourself a lot less stressed out when you're out there shooting. I can't tell you how many times I've been out just scrambling around on the rocks like, I wasn't ready, I didn't plan ahead, I should have known where to be and what to do. Go out on those hikes, go out on those walks, go out on those drives on a day when the light isn't perfect. That way you don't feel the pressure and you can just sort of like check out your location, check out your compositions and your foreground elements, and okay, that boat is moored over there, I wanna shoot that, or okay, that mountain peak lines up with the sun at this time of day, this time of year, things like that. Just give yourself those sort of like those planning days, those sort of like recreational hikes where you're just sort of scouting an area, and just if you have a scout mission planned out. The cool thing about scout missions is you might come home with a great shot, but more importantly than that, you will go out with purpose and with confidence when the conditions call for it. So plan ahead, definitely do that. There's tons of apps to help you. My 2 favorite apps that I always check, Photo Pills would probably be my first suggestion. Check out Photo Pills. It is an amazing resource for photographers. It's available for iPhone, I think for Android as well. It is not a free app, and it is worth 10 times what they charge. Pay the money, get that app. If you take landscape photography at all seriously, just do it. The other one that I like is a free app, and it is called Clear Outside. It's a UK-based app, so unfortunately their home screen is always for England, which doesn't really help me. So it's one extra step. You gotta click your current location, but that's not a big deal, and it's a free app, and learn how to use that one. If you guys want me to talk a little bit more how I use these apps, let me know below, and we'll do a video specifically about those two. But Clear Outside will break down 3 different cloud layers by height or elevation. And so there'll be a low, a medium, and a high cloud layer, and then the percentage of coverage in each of those layers. So great app, free resource, definitely check out Clear Outside. Those are my 2 best planning apps. Plan ahead, number 1. Number 2, this is determine your subject when you get to a location and then grow from there. A lot of times, certainly when I was starting out, I would show up to a location and say, this is pretty, and then just click, and it just wasn't a good photo. And it was because it didn't have any direction. I had no clear subject in my image. I was expecting the viewer to just sort of take it all in, but it's a 2-dimensional representation of a 3-dimensional scene. And when you're physically there, you can sort of take in all the beauty, but when you're looking at an image, you need a subject. You need people to have a reason to look at your image. So when you show up to a scene and you're like, okay, I wanna shoot X, now you can grow from there. Okay, so what's the cool thing about this image? It's the bridge. I wanna shoot this bridge. Now, how can I make this bridge look its best? Okay, maybe I'll get down on the rocks underneath it and give myself a nice leading line up into the bridge. Okay, now I need some light in the sky because this is super flat and boring to look at otherwise. All right, I'll come back tomorrow when the sunrise is firing, and I will stand on the rocks right here, and my subject is gonna be my bridge. I want leading lines into the bridge. I want, light over the top of it to sort of like frame it out with some interest and give it some pop and some color so that people are interested in the bridge itself. Now I've got an example, that's a good example rather. Now I've got a subject and I'm ready to go. So when you get to a scene, it could be anything from waves washing up on the shore. It could be the shape of a cool rock that's sitting in the middle of your yard. It could be the texture when you're looking through a macro lens at a blade of grass and like how the colors interact with each other and the thicknesses of the grass, cast different tones as the light shines through it. It could be anything, but just determine your subject and grow from there. You will do better and have more success if you go into a shot with a specific subject in mind and grow from there. Number 3 is simplify. That's it. The best photos that I've ever shot in, I was thinking in my head, okay, here's my scene. How can I simplify this scene? How can I make it more easy to take in? When you have a really busy scene, when you have a lot going on, it doesn't mean you can't turn it into a good composition, but the more you learn how to simplify your images, the better they're gonna be. And I don't necessarily mean shoot like lots of negative space. I'm not necessarily saying that when I say simplify, like, oh, okay, wait for a foggy day and then go shoot a boat in the fog with nothing in the background and just the boat. That's a really simple image, but it's very one-dimensional. Give yourself some more depth, give yourself some more, elements, but arrange them in a way so that the eye isn't confused and darting all over the place. Like use leading lines as an element to point you towards that subject we were talking about and have everything play into your image. Don't have any wasted elements in your scene. Don't just like slap the camera up on a tripod and go, neat, a pretty sunset, click. If you do that, what's gonna happen is you're gonna find yourself a little lost with your images and not, if you've got a specific subject and you planned ahead so your light is great, now you need to use the rest of your scene and simplify it as best you can. And I'm saying, you could have a whole grove of ferns, hundreds of little leaves everywhere, but if you arrange the scene properly, that whole grove can be sort of like its own cohesive element in the image. And that's what I mean by simplify. There's no magic wand like simplify, but find a way, if you can, to just keep that in your mind. Tip number 3 is simplify. Tip number 4. Tip number 4 is revisit your scenes. Now, if you go to a spot, it could be an amazing location, a stunning location, and there might not be a photo there. Beautiful scenes aren't always beautiful photos. That's a lesson you have to learn. However, sometimes you just need to work a scene. Sometimes you just need to go back multiple times, go back again and again and again. And that kind of comes back to your planning ahead thing. I was talking about, doing those recreational hikes, those scouting missions. If you go out and you see a shot, it might not be today and it might not be tomorrow, But if you keep coming back and you plan ahead a little bit, eventually you're gonna get that shot that you were looking for, and you're gonna be super stoked when you do, because you worked hard, you accomplished it, and it was worth all that effort because you went back multiple times, and now you have a shot you can really truly be proud of. Not a shot like, oh yeah, it was really nice that day and here's the shot. If you're really taking landscape photography seriously and you plan ahead, you determine your subject, you simplify your scene, and then you come back again and again and again until those conditions are perfect, well, the photograph will be that much better, and it will have been worth all the time you put in. Also, the other side of revisiting your scenes, just because you go to a scene and you found an amazing image, like the perfect image, and you're like, yes, I got it, this is the shot, I'm stoked, and you go home and you add it to your portfolio and you put it up on social media and everyone's like, amazing image, good job, Paul, you nailed it, totally worth all the effort. You can still go back to that location again. I mean, no two photos are ever exactly the same, and I've often stood in the exact same place and taken images that were totally different. So go back again and again and again. Revisit your scenes, keep working that scene. That sort of leads me into tip number 5, which is work the scene. Make those micro adjustments. Sometimes when you're at a position where you have a great photo, you settle in and you're like, this is my shot, this is a great photo. But you never know, maybe 2 inches higher, or maybe 5 feet to the left, or maybe on the other side of your subject shooting this direction. You won't know until you stand there. So sometimes what I'll do, you can even just use your phone and just like take your phone and just move around an image and make those tiny little adjustments. I'm super guilty of this sometimes. If I'm at a place like a waterfall and I have my tripod very precariously, perched atop 2 rocks, and then one leg is down into the deep part of the pool or something, it's like really hard to get your tripod set up. And once you get it set up, you're kind of like, well, this is my shot. All right, that's the scene. It's good enough, right? It's worth the effort to take the camera off the tripod, maybe even get your feet wet, step in the water and move around a little bit. And then it might take you 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes to get your tripod re-established into a different place in that precarious location, but it will all be worth it if your composition is that much better. So fight a little bit harder, go the extra mile. Don't just settle like, oh, okay, this is where thy tripod's gonna sit still. Do whatever it takes, but go the extra mile, make those micro adjustments, work the scene, check every little spot, every little change, especially in my opinion, when you're shooting wide angle lenses. Micro adjustments, I think, are the most important. I mean, maybe you disagree with me, correct me if you see a different side of things, but for my photography at least, when I'm standing in a place and I'm shooting a 200mm lens, I'm shooting way out over the water and shooting a lighthouse or something, I could be, whatever, 10 feet that way or 10 feet that way, and it doesn't really make that much difference to my shot at that particular setup. But if I'm shooting, a wide angle lens, I'm not like 16mm on a full frame camera, and I'm like, maybe 20 inches from my subject, moving 2 inches to the left can make a huge impact on the image. And you won't know until you do it. So make those micro adjustments, commit to finding a shot, and then double check that all the other spaces around your shot aren't just that much little bit better. Which leads me to my bonus tip. Just get up, wake up early. Sunsets are amazing. There's no doubt about that. But if there's one thing I've learned, albeit grudgingly, mornings are better. They're better. Sunrises are incredible. Not only will it jumpstart your day and you have all day to enjoy the image, and you get out there and you got your coffee and it's a cold morning, you got your gloves and your jacket on and you're standing there, and then all of a sudden the sun starts to crest over the horizon and it's just like, whoa! And you're like, whoa, all right, it was all worth it. You know what I mean? It starts your day off so right. And it's also it's when you're gonna get some of the best images. I mean, I hate to admit it because I am not a morning person at all, not at all. I hate mornings. I'm so bad at getting up early, but it's worth it. And that's why I shoot a lot of landscape photography this time of year in the winter months, January, February, March, December. These months are shorter days, certainly up here in Maine. The sun rises at a pretty reasonable hour. You can go out, the sunrise will be like 7 o'clock, 7:15 a.m. If you're out there in August or July, okay, yeah, now sunrise is like 4:15 in the morning. You gotta be up at 2:45 if you wanna drive an hour, hike somewhere and get your shot. That's crazy talk. People do it, I've done it. Sometimes I even just stay up all night and then now I can shoot that 5 a.m. sunrise and then go home and sleep for a little bit, catch up on all the sleep that I missed. It's up to you how you want to do these things, but if you can, by all means, get up early and go and do those early morning shots. That's my bonus tip. I won't harp on it too much, but just don't be lazy. Make the effort. It will pay off. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it will pay off. So just to recap, top 5 tips: plan ahead, determine your subject, simplify, revisit a scene multiple times, and work that scene. Make those micro adjustments until you get your composition just right, and get up early. Do it. Don't be lazy. What do you think? Did you have a favorite tip? Which of those 5 tips are you gonna try out right now? Let me know in the comments below what's gonna be the first thing that's gonna change your tips. And also, while you're at it, let me know in the comments right now, what's a tip that you wish I'd said that you think other people need to know? Give them a shout. Let me know, let them know down below in the comments. What did I miss? What should we be doing as landscape photographers that I didn't already talk about? All right, guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much. That really helps the channel. If you want to see more from us, click that subscribe button. It's right down there. Just do it right now. That way, next time we post a video, you can check it out. Thanks for stopping by with me, you guys, and we will see you next time.